Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Gargoyles, Marvel Comics Gargoyles. This is issue 11 and the last issue in the comic. I tried to do some research and find out why this comic ended, and you'll see why I'm talking about that at the end of the comic. I showcased the first issue of the series, and then I showcased the new comic of Gargoyles, and I figured it would be a nice way to continue the series by talking about the last Marvel Gargoyles comic. I don't know why that was a mouthful. So let's look at everything. Also, Elsa's Lament. Nice little corner box over here. Look at that. You see that 11 right there? That is really difficult to see, to the point where I got number 10 and 11 at the same time, and I couldn't. Where's the numbering? And then look at this, the price tag. This was a weird time for Marvel Comics. They really made it difficult for compulsive OCD like people like myself to get the numbers, but to put things in order catalog, whatever. So let's look at this. We got a guitar ad, guitar, and we have a splash page. But first, let's look at the indicia. So this is Gargoyles, Volume 1, Number 11, December 1995. Yeah, that looks like a 95. A weird, this 1995, I'll say right now, is the beginning of the 90s. Why do I say that? This is like, this is when people say the 90s, I think they mean like 95 to 1999. That is the 90s that everybody remembers. And to be honest, it's not my favorite part. It's not my favorite time for comics. Jeez, my mouth is just problematic, a word that I hate. But anyway, let's look at this splash page. What do we got here? We got a wizard. What do they call him? A master mage. Mystic energy by best. And he's summoning some spell. And it's really funny because this is the last issue. And again, I guess I'll tell you, I don't think they planned on it because they advertised the next issue. So I tried to do research and find out why it was canceled, and I don't know why. Nobody knows why. It's a mystery. So this guy, it's a subplot that never gets resolved. But anyway, let's look at the cast of characters. Mort Todd, writer. And I have to say, I don't know much about Mort Todd other than this, and it's a solid comic. Again, I don't showcase comics that I don't like unless there's a point. This comic I really did like. All 11 issues. There was, a little bit rough in the middle, but it was a good... Amanda Conner. I love Amanda Conner's artwork. She's fun. She's energetic. Well, I'm talking about her art. I never met her. Maybe she is fun. Maybe she is energetic. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But her art has like a playfulness to it. For those of you who remember the Power Girl series that she drew, it was a lot of fun. Her art is fun style. Alberto Sachman is the inker. I don't know anything about him. And then a Bronx Tale. So there's two stories. This comic has two stories in it. John Costanza letter, again, a Marvel standby, Marvel and DC. And Anthony Tolan, I don't know that name. And Hildy Mejnik, the editor. I don't know who this person is. This is the first time I'm hearing their name. I don't know if they had like their own little like office, because this is a intellectual property that belonged to Greg Weisman, who I'm assuming you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are new, this is based on the wonderful cartoon series Gargoyles that was a surprise hit that came out in the 90s, and I think it was a victim of its own success, meaning that Greg Weisman made I think the first season only had 12 episodes, and everybody loved it. So they ordered 52 episodes for the second season, and I think it broke him. There was no third season. There was a third season, but I think it was like farmed out to somebody else, and it wasn't as good. But I digress. This Marvel comic is based on the wonderful Gargoyles comic. So we got this mage, and he's got the cauldron doing typical magic stuff. So what is this? They're setting up a subplot that doesn't see fruition because sadly this is the last comic. So this is a 2-page spread. So what is he doing? A little bit of flashback. In issue 6 or 7, they found another gargoyle by Venus. And I love that comic. Oh my! That's probably my favorite comic in the series. It's dark, it's tragic, it's bittersweet. It's such a good issue. I should have showcased that one now that I'm talking about it. But I showed the first issue, and I'm showing the last issue, bookends. So she actually gets turned to stone and thrown into the ocean because she's a bad guy. They finally meet a new vampire, a new gargoyle, and she's horrible. So, and since she's not in the show, I don't think they keep her around. So they got rid of her. But this magician is bringing Venus back from like eternal stasis. She's like, I'm alive, and there you go. That's the end of that. We never see them again because the comic got canceled. So what's going on over here? This is the second part of Elsa's story. Elsa, for those of you who do not know, she was the female Elsa Maza. A great character. Yeah, everybody liked it. So whatever, there's no strong female characters. Be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, this is 30 years ago. You know, and we all loved Elsa. She's a police detective, and she's having trouble sleeping. They made it up for the comic book that she became a detective because she found a serial killer. She solved the serial killer case, and she arrested the serial killer red-handed, but in the back of her mind, she's always like, what if I arrested the wrong guy? She went from a plainclothes, uniform cop to a plainclothes detective. So she got a promotion, and her reputation was established. But the person she arrested was always maintained his innocence. But then again, everybody maintains their innocence. So she didn't believe, but in the back of her mind, she was like, something ain't right. So now the killing started again. This is a couple of years later. She's like, wait a minute, what if that guy was hurt? What if I arrested? What if my whole career is based on a lie? She's a good person. She's a good cop. She doesn't want to arrest an innocent person. You know, he went to trial. He was found holding the knife, and he was just like, I found my girlfriend with a knife in her. I panicked. I pulled the knife out. That's why the knife is in my hand. That sounds plausible. You know, it really does sound plausible. So she arrested him, caught him red-handed, literally red-handed, convicted. The guy's in jail for life, you know, and she's like, what, you know, he's like, I'm innocent. So now the killings are starting again, and Adam, the person she arrested, said there was this big, gigantic, shaggy man. So now turns out he's killing women that fits this particular description that coincidentally happens to fit Elsa's description. So she dresses up as a lady of the night, and becomes a streetwalker as a human decoy. Now, the problem is she didn't notify the rest of the police force. She's doing this on her own, you know. But then again, that's comic books, and that's drama. That's police drama. So the last issue took off with the serial killer attacking her. So she already broke her heel because, you know, you can't fight these guys in high heels. And she's holding her own, and she's getting clobbered. This is a big guy. She's a normal human. She doesn't have superpowers. And they already established that he was a dangerous man who fought off other people. So look, she's getting choked out. There's blood coming out of her mouth. She's on her way out. And he's saying the only thing he hates more than women is cops. And the only thing he hates more than cops is hookers. So the fact that you're a woman hooker cop, you know, he's just, you know, he's a crazy person. She's not really a hooker. She's a decoy, you know. Trying to lure out, and it worked, unfortunately for her. Look at her. She's not a Mary Sue. She, you know, so what does she do? I loved it. She finds the spike from her high heels that she reaches out, and she, you know, hits him with it. It stuns him for a second, and he starts running away because now other police are coming. She's not going to have any of that. She tackles him, and they're fighting and fighting and fighting. The only thing I find unbelievable, look at these ads. This was a horrible period of Marvel. You know, Marvel, I don't want to be negative, but this was a horrible period for Marvel Comics. You know, Marvel has highs and lows. So she's putting the cuffs on. That's the only thing I find unbelievable is, you know, he's got the bruise from the spike. You know, I know, but whatever. It's a comic book. So she puts the cuffs on him, and now we'll have the Bronx story. So this is kind of amusing. So this is deadly serious, and this is kind of amusing. So Bronx, the dog-like, you know, non-human of the gargoyles, and the other three gargoyles, they're flying around. They find a sewer. They find a subway entrance that's open, and they've never been in the subway before. They're always flying around Manhattan, so they don't even know what the subway is. So they're exploring the subway, and trains are coming, and they what is a train doing down there? You know, they don't even know. You know, I think that's funny, and that scares them all. And then Bronx ran along the track, and now he's in the Bronx for the first time. You know, and he's hungry, and he finds this guy sleeping, and he eats his donut, and the guy's freaking out. So, you know, he's like, I saw a monster, and he's just looking at, and, you know, if you've ever been to the South Bronx, this is pretty accurate. There's some, you know, just abandoned buildings, just there's some don't get me wrong. there's some beautiful areas like the Van Cortlandt Park area of the Bronx. You know, the more north in the Bronx, it is gorgeous. Millionaires live there. It is a beautiful neighborhood, but there is some bad areas in the Bronx that you do not want to be into. So now Bronx, this is Bronx. He's in the Bronx. For those of you who don't know, Manhattan is 5 boroughs. There's the island of Manhattan. There's Queens. There's Brooklyn. There's Staten Island, which is separate out. Then there's the Bronx. And Bronx is the only borough that's attached to the mainland America, you know, mainland continental United States. And then you just cross a border and you're in Westchester County where the X-Men live. So the Bronx is you know, this little triangle that points to Manhattan. And I'm drawing all over this ugly guy's face. So anyway, he's walking through the bad areas of the Bronx, and he doesn't know it. And these kids, you know, ghetto troublemaker kids, you know, not, you know, they're like rascals. They're not really troublemakers. They're troublemakers in the fun sense of the troublemaker. And the youngest kid who's trying to tag along with the older kids, they're like, get out of here, you little kid. So they chase him away, and he finds Bronx, and he thinks he's just a pit bull because he's a little kid. And he's playing with them, and Bronx is a gentle giant. And he's like, I got to go meet my friends. And he's like, oh, I thought I made a friend. Because he's lost now. He doesn't know where he is. He can't fly, you know, to cover the territory to get home. So he's just like, this kid was nice to me. We cut back to her. So she's getting scolded by her superior. It's such a cop trope, right? Getting scolded by the superior. And the superiors just listen to her. She's like, I can't believe I was wrong. I arrested the real serial killer now. And poor Adam, the guy that she arrested that made her career, she goes, it's all a lie. I can't stand being a cop anymore. And she's going to give her badge in. She's giving it all up. And she's just listening. She's like, are you done? She's like, here's my badge. I give up. You know, and she's like, are you done? She throws the badge back. Now get back to work. She goes, you're a good cop. She goes, the fact that you feel guilty over a mistake shows that you're a good cop. Look at, you caught the serial killer. The only thing is, you set yourself up as a decoy and you didn't have backup. You could have been... Now she's getting reprimanded for what she should be reprimanded for. She shouldn't be doing something dangerous like this without backup. She didn't even tell the police. She didn't even inform them. And she was doing this on her free time after work, off duty, you know? Duty. But, you know, but she's a good cop. So I just like that, you know? So get back to work. And then we cut back to Bronx. The other gargoyles are trying to find Bronx. They don't know where he is. They're covering territory. They're flying around. And so these kids are like, hey, look at this. This building's always boarded up, but for whatever reason, you know, other kids broke the door there. So let's go explore, you know, and let's light matches. You know, there's always the freaky kid who's into fire. I had a friend who was a freaky kid who's into fire. You know, so he's playing matches and he's just throwing matches around, you know. And you could laugh. You could say, who would do that? We did that. I did that as a kid. My friends did that as a kid. You know, fortunately, we never burnt anything down, but it's just a stupid thing little boys do. You know, that are they bad kids? Not yet. They're just troublemaking rascal kids, you know. So they start a fire, and they're freaking out. They're freaking out, and you can see what's happening next. So now, cut back to Elsa's story. Adam is getting released. So she arrested him. She arrested him, caused him, and turned out it was the truth. He was just pulling the knife he panicked. He pulled the knife out of his girlfriend's body. The thing is that the neighbors heard them fighting. You know what I mean? So it was she a bad cop? No. Everything logically pointed to him being the killer, to the point where, you know, he went to trial and the jury found him guilty. You know what I mean? It's not like she railroaded him. Everything, it was all the evidence said, but the evidence was wrong in this case. It was, you know, one of those imperfect flaws of our judicial system. So he's rightfully mad. So she's trying to apologize. He ain't here. I've been in jail for years now. Nobody believes my life is destroyed, blah, 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 blah. And she's a good cop. She just shut up and took it because she feels she deserves it, even though she didn't do anything wrong. She did what she was supposed to do. But she's a good person, and she's a humane person. She's a kind person. So she's like, and he's like, I hope your career is made. You know, you're a celebrity cop now, and my life is ruined, and blah, blah, blah. And she just lets him say it. She just, you know, that's what you do. Just let him say it, and he walks off. So now they find Bronx, and Bronx won't go with them. Why? Because Bronx, you know, he's supposed to be like a dog-like companion of the Gargoyles, but he's also smarter than a dog, and that's okay because it's not human, so I don't know the rules. So he's not going, and he's like, we got to go save these kids. They're trapped. So he bursts free from the Gargoyles, and now the Gargoyles, they're gargoyles. And for those of you who may or may not know, the Renaissance or the Gothic, I forget the architecture people that made gargoyles. The gargoyles were put into buildings, and they were supposed to be like protectors. So they were supposed to be these horrible visages to scare away the demons. So Greg Weisman, when he made the gargoyles, it's like imprinted into their DNA that they are protectors. Like they have to protect. It's in their nature. So once they see that there's a fire and there's kids, they go in and help out. They're heroes. They're good guys. So Bronx breaks through the wall. He's a powerhouse, saves all the kids. The kid's like, oh my God, we got saved by monsters. Now they're realizing that they were calling the little kid a liar, because of there's no such thing as monsters. They forgive him, and now he can hang out with the big kids. And he's like, I'm never playing with matches again. So now Eliza and Goliath. Goliath is the number one. He's the leader of the. Surprisingly, he wasn't even in this issue. This is Eliza's story. This was Bronx's story. Bronx Tale. And I like this. The sitting being affectionate. And last issue, he was knocking himself out because they found an egg. They found like the last gargoyle egg, and Demona got away with it. So he's just like, somewhere there could be another gargoyle. I failed. I'm supposed to be the leader of the gargoyles, and now there's an egg and potentially another gargoyle that's in the hands of Demona. And she said to him, "You can't beat yourself up over it. You did everything you could. Sometimes bad things happen." So now she's saying the same thing, and then he's like, "A wise woman." What does he say here? A wise woman once told me just 2 nights ago, there is just some things that just happen that you have absolutely no control over and can't be held responsible. So he's throwing it back into her face, and they're hugging. It's a nice little, bookends. She helped her friend Goliath when Goliath was down in the dumps, trying to do the right thing, and he couldn't do the right thing, no fault for his own, because Desdemona's a crafty villain. And now her doing the right thing got an innocent person arrested. But you know what? All evidence pointed to him. She didn't do anything wrong. She did what she was supposed to do. So there you go. She's helping him. And now a little bit of humor. Bronx is back. And you see, it says next, the day the sun kissed the earth. So next issue, I think, was going to be that wizard with Venus, the missing gargoyle that's trapped at the bottom of the ocean. And there's nothing here that says it was canceled. Nothing here, So where was the 12th issue? Why wasn't it made? I don't know. Was this a bad seller? I don't know. I mean, I to be honest, I was hardcore into collecting comics in 1995, and I didn't even know this comic came out. So maybe it wasn't marketed correctly. I don't know. I can't tell you why the 12th issue didn't come out. So I don't know. I thought it was a good quality comic. Amanda Connor's artwork was fine. I thought the stories, the writing was excellent. The first couple of issues were written by Marty Pasco, who I just love his writing. I think he's a good, solid writer. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. And I would love to know what was going to happen in the 12th issue with the Return of Venus, which was my favorite issue. Maybe I'll showcase that. That was my favorite issue out of these 11 issues. But this was a good run. The thing is, they're hard to find, and when you find them, they're pretty expensive. I paid a pretty penny to get these comics. All right, there you go. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.